such an asshole.
Well, hopefully the internet gods are merciful to me today and that we do not have any connection issues, but you never know here at assholeconsulting.com, where I, the world's only professional asshole and America's older brother, goes and gets the 200-yard starting run to give you all the swift kick in the ass that you also desperately need as long as you got money. We have an interesting request from a regular. Hi, Cap. We are often told that misery loves company, that if we have suffered through an ordeal, it helps us to hear that we are not alone in our sufferings. It's as if by having the suffering become a communal event, it eases each individual's share of the misery. No, I suffer. I'm just like, I want the suffering in. I don't care if other people suffer. I kind of think it's similarly comforting to find that others before us, sometimes many years before us, have gone through what we're going through, that we are not the first victims. We always think we live in the worst times and that what we experience is absolutely unprecedented in human experience. One of my favorite pastimes is reading through old newspapers. Crazy hobby, I know, but I find it very entertaining, amusing, and yes, comforting. I find that there is nothing new, that every misery has been suffered by previous generations, and the fact that we're here right now is proof that humanity has already survived every stupidity that humanity can conceive. This is a very well thought out and good philosophical observation. Here are a few brief news items clipped from newspapers, all but one of them from the same day, though different newspapers. I'm sure you could pick any other day in history and find an equal number of similar tales. I've appended a brief comment to each. Feel free to make any of your own comments. So this is cool. So he literally went and screened in these old newspapers. So let me make sure I'm live. Okay, we're still good. All right. This is from 1912. He notes, nice guys couldn't win in 1912 either. From the Brooklyn Eagle of September 20th, 1912. Title, can't find a girl to suit him. He complains, dear madam, I am an Englishman, 22 years of age, and have been in the country 4 years and will soon be a citizen. During that period, I have been acquainted with quite a number of girls about the same age as myself. I've taken them to shows, seaside resorts, and have tried to please them in many ways to find out if they had any affection, any desire for a honest and straightforward fellow who is anxious to find a woman worthy of an honest love. And up to the present, I am sorry to say that I have not met one with anything but a mad desire for good times. The text is a little blemished. Excitement and the like, which makes me sick at heart. Signed off, DCA. Second one, imagine the misery of being associated with this Karen of 1912. From the Waukegan Daily Sun of September 20th, 1912. Title, Old Bachelor, a Poor Husband is Plaint of Wife. Okay, I know it is old-timey English. Subtitle, Waukegan woman so declares ensuing for separate maintenance support. Further subtitle, there's 4 subtitles, has had both kinds. Subtitle number 4, Mrs. Emma Ohlendorf, after trying both, takes exception to bachelor. This is hopefully I'm a little lost with the titles, but hopefully the details in the article. An old bachelor makes a poor husband. He is parsimonious, noisy, quarrelsome, and devoid of any of the husbandly qualities. So this might be the old school Chad, like the confirmed bachelor is what they would say back in the day. That makes home something more than a place to hang his hat. This has been the experience. He's been noisy and quarreling, devoid of any of the husband qualities that makes home something more than a place to hang his hat. See, boys, you're supposed to make the home something more than a place for you to hang your hat. This has been the experience of Mrs. Emma Nancy Ohlendorf of Waukegan. She has tried both kinds of husbands, young and old bachelors, through trial. Thorough trial has convinced her that the old ones are worse than useless, except to the capacity of alimony payers. They're just going money. Brilliant, sir. I tip my hat to you. This is brilliant. And a bill for separate maintenance filed yesterday in the Superior Court of Cook County, or it's down in Chicago. She has written her story of her fruitless attempts pursued for 2 years to mold Henry L. Ohlendorf into a companionable husband. So they have to be married. They got the last name. She admits defeat, blaming her 50-year-old pupil for his unresponsiveness. How dare you not do what I say you do? They're never happy. They're never happy. I haven't had an opinion form yet on this, but I'm slowly starting to believe, like, yes, they've always been this way. I mean, if for any other reason, you go read through any old scriptures of any old Bible, the Quran, or Talmud. What's the word? What's the go? The Greeks. The Greeks. You go read any of it. They knew this. It's genetic. Oh, super hypersonic. No, they're different this time. Give them the keys to the car. They know what they're doing. What do you mean economic collapse? For 2 years to mold Henry L. Ohlendorf, what a fun time he must have had, into a companionable husband. She admits defeat, blaming her 50-year-old pupil for his unresponsiveness. In some ways, the bill is one of the most unusual ever filed in a divorce action of the kind, and it comes as a genuine surprise to acquaintances of the couple in Waukegan. Mrs. Ohlendorf is said to have asserted that if she ever again decides to wed, which she thinks very doubtful, that she will fight any. She will fight, that says fight shy of an old bachelor. And her advice to her friends, both young and old, is to do the same thing. Okay, to fight shy? Maybe that's an old word to mean to avoid. 3, yes, they liked the bad boys back then. From the New York Sun, September 20th, 1912, all in the same day. Woman accused of aid in sawing cell bars. T-Rash is an article about T-Rash's great-great-grandfather. Here we go. T-Rash's great-great-grandfather. Prisoner's visitor searched and hacksaw is found in her stocking. Acid concealed in jail. Wife of convict arrested after discovery in Raymond Street, Brooklyn prison. A discovery yesterday morning by Warden Thomas Kane of the Raymond Street Jail, Brooklyn, of 3 cells, each of which had 2 bars sawed through and ready to be yanked out, led yesterday to the arrest of Mrs. Stella Moore of 2167 7th Street, Manhattan. Oh, she's an uptown girl. She went to Brooklyn? Wow. It was T-Rash. It was. She probably had a nice husband and worked at Wall Street. Mrs. Moore. Wait. Now, is she married? Discover one of Raymond bookshelves. Now, is Moore the guy that she's trying to spring? Or is Moore her husband? And the guy she's trying to spring is T-Rash. Let's continue. Mrs. Moore had a hacksaw concealed in her stocking and shoe. In one of the cells, the warden found a hacksaw 6 inches long and a bottle of hydrochloric acid. The woman was arraigned in the Adams Street Police Court yesterday afternoon, charged with aiding and abetting prisoners to escape. She was held for $2,000. That's a lot of money back then. For a hearing this afternoon. She's 22 years old. The prisoner, whom she had been visiting regularly and on whose account she is separated from her husband, is Harry Miller, 23 years old, charged with burglary. So she left her husband for the bad boy. She did his legitimate, the 1912, this is T-Rash Senior. Senior right here. 23 years old. Miller, with Lewis Copland of 1658 St. John's Place, Brooklyn, was arrested on August 23 in the house of Nelson P. Lewis, chief engineer to the board of the estimate, who lives at 1511 Alberamy Road in the Prospect Park South section of Flatbush. On Monday, Miller pleaded to burglary in the 3rd degree, and a charge of carrying concealed weapons was dismissed. Since she has been in Raymond Street, Mrs. Moore has been visiting him regularly. Warden Kane says she is the wife of Harry Moskowitz. Well, now who's Moskowitz? Who is now serving a sentence on Blackwell's Island. 4. A distinguished visitor to America's answer when asked his views about American women, an early version of Passport Bros. New York World, September 19th, 1912. Colonel the Honorable Wallace Bruce Watkins, what a name to wind up with, Watkins, was on the way to Johannesburg, South Africa, where he is British Game Commissioner and a man of importance. He's 55 years old. This is the silver fox of the ye olden times. A confirmed bachelor, there it is, confirmed bachelor, and has opinions about women. He also voiced them. Listen, I hate women, he drawled, especially your American women. Well, there's got to be a picture of this guy somewhere, right? I mean, he made colonel and sort of did some hoity-toity thing over in South Africa. They are too forward. I hate suffragettes, especially English suffragettes. I would have them clubbed if I had my way, breaking windows and that sort of thing. They ought to be wearing trousers. Even the homegirls nowadays are too forward. They should learn from the Zulu women who know their place and keep it. Mary, did you say? Dear me, no. I am too wise, as you say here, for that. If I ever do, though, I'll marry a Zulu maid. She will not annoy me as both American and English women do. And the worst of it was he seemed to mean it. Oh. 5. Taking the black pill in 1920 also sounds like they had simps back then, though he doesn't call them that. From the New York Daily News, September 1st, 1920, title, A Real Woman Hater. Editor of the News. I'm glad to see that the News has more courage than any other newspaper in printing letters of frank opinion. I was much interested and amused by your column of experiences with the woman hater. I believe that the day is at hand when no man with self-respect and high moral principle will marry. But cheer up, there will always be enough weak brothers to propagate the so-called human race. Look at this. Look at this. Although I am only 38 years of age, I have lived through an era that saw American women degenerate more sadly than any other period in the country's history. Signed, virulent woman hater. My goodness, is saving the best for last. 6, one man solution to marital strife. Of course, he ends up in jail. From the Chicago Tribune, September 20th, 1912. Imprisons family for a month, husband in revolt arrested. Subtitle, tired of being henpecked, man indulges in novel revenge until neighbors complain to police. A month-long, this is old Lester Burnham. This was Lester Burnham back in the day. A month-long revolt against 20 years of henpecked marriage life put Charles Schrader behind the bars of a West Hammond jail last night. Schrader, who is a retired farmer and for years has been a faithful member of the Nazarene Church, kept his wife and 3 children locked up at 437 Johnson Street, his residence, in a remote part of the suburb. I got tired of being bossed. Hang on, let's look this up. 437 Johnson Street. I'm wondering where that's at. Is it still around? 437 Johnson Street. You know, they say suburbs. What was it? Was it 437 Johnson Street? Maps. It may have been destroyed long ago. Nope, there doesn't seem to be any. You know, what was Oak Park the suburbs back then? What? Quote, I got tired of being bossed around the house all the time, Schrader told the police, so I planned ahead for a good time before I die. I always have been a total abstainer and a good churchman, so the first thing I did was go downtown and drink a lot of beer and buy a lot of stogies. There we go. In this gay mood, he approached his residence, shocked his wife, slapped her, gave each of his 3 children a spanking, a pleasure he never had indulged in, and locked up the house, his family inside. He boarded up the windows and took out the phone. For 3 weeks, this continued. Schrader bringing home food for his family. His wife was so bewildered by the change in her husband's manner that she did not resist. She probably spread her legs. Then the neighbors complained to the authorities and a warrant was issued. But before it was served, Schrader decided to repent while in his church, gained forgiveness, and went home and released his family. His wife then became his accuser, and he was arrested on 4 charges: disturbing the peace, resisting an officer, cruelty, and desertion. Oh, man. Well, there you go. Lester Burnham back in 1920. I don't know if we really answered the question. I wonder if those were like, you know, the highlights. Like, was that now the Chicago Tribune was not a gossipy column, but the New York Sun, is that the original Sun? Obviously, women have not changed in any regard and have been the same since time immemorial because of genetics. Same with men. Go read the Greeks. These obviously indicate, maybe to some extreme measures, that men and women have kind of been the same as well. And in the grand scheme of evolutionary time, 1,000 years is nothing, let alone 100. But I will say there has been some changes. They are not the same as they were. Some things remain the same, but some things do change. And even in my short time on this planet, you could certainly pre-internet, pre-online social media and all that. It was about 1 in 10 on average. You can read my 50-50-25 if you want to later. In the olden times of Cappy's life, you would have to ask out 10 girls. Several would say yes, only one would actually show up. But and even though they took them to the old arcade, and Cappy took them to the movies, and now you take them to Netflix and chill. It was always pulling teeth. It was, and I'm convinced, only because if women had the same interest in men, the same sex drive as men, we would overpopulate. And it has been designed by God or nature, whichever you care to believe, that women are only fractionally interested in men and are very choosy. In more recent times, I think they've become vindictive. I will say the introduction, even going back to the women's magazines, like Cosmo and all that. More recently, teachers, public schools, the internet, Condé Nast publications. You could look them up. They have like Jezebel and all that. The modern feminism certainly has colored it a different variety and made women more antagonistic and angry toward men. But I would say the number one change has been technology, because that has literally liberated women from men. And I think that's the biggest change in behavior you've seen, where it's always been there. It's just that women needed men to survive. Now they don't. There's white collar work. Some women are tougher. They could do blue collar work. They're out there. And then, as always, there's the welfare state. And add on top of that the digital lie that you can have any guy in the world and your Prince Charming is just around the corner. And he votes Democrat too, yet magically has billions of dollars that he willingly votes to have taken away from the government. It hasn't changed their firmware, but has definitely added some layers on top of the firmware and operating system and software that changes the overall computer you're dealing with. And now you're just seeing what has always been there come up, where they're not that interested. And if women are going to invest time in you, they've always been reluctant. They always have been, but they needed you to survive. Now they don't. And now you see that. And if you do go on dates with them, it's still the pulling of the teeth. It's still you trying to convince them. It's still, you get married and it goes to pot. But imagine back then the societal and all of those legal pressures of not being able to get divorced. The guy locked his family up. In some ways, being divorced is maybe a good thing. That guy, I bet you we go through all the articles and all the cases that I've done. The guys were happy when the woman left. I think the woman was happy when she left too. It's all the same. It's just the playground's a little different. The rules are a little different. So there you go. Thank you very much. Let's go to Super Chats very quickly. Frankenfoot, $5. Would you defuse bombs for $60,000 a year and $50K signing bonus? Got into processing for Air Force. I have other options. 84 on a 99. Boy, here's the thing, man. I kind of would, but there's very limited post-military employment after that. Like you go to the cops and you're on the bomb squad, right? That's it. That's the only place you can go work. I mean, you'd get the GI Bill, so you could kind of repurpose, but I don't know. You got big plans? Were you planning on marrying a fancy girl and having some kids? I don't know. What'd you do? I defuse bombs. That's a hell of an opener. That's an interesting life. I'd do it just for the experience. You might get blown up. Well, you could be a rank and fileistic guy and get blown up in the military. Yeah. I kind of would. Why? Look, you're going to die, right? Hopefully not by a bomb. But wouldn't you like to have on your I diffuse bomb? Look, now that I've thought about it, you almost have to, because let's say you go and you start applying for jobs in the future. If you put bomb diffuser on your resume, that's going to catch everybody's eyes. Is you were a bomb? So imagine this. All right. You're a hiring manager or Karen at HR, and you got 3 resumes and they're all equally qualified. And so then they go down, like, what do they do in the past? Oh, MBA, uh, project manager, and you're a bomb diffuser. I think I think you should. I think it'd be like you're gonna catch more flies or honey or whatever the thing is gonna be. I think you should. Evan M, 10 Canadian bucks. When God kicked Adam and Eve out of the paradise, he told Eve that she'd be dependent on men for the rest of her days. Ask yourself for a second, why would women see that as an eternal punishment? Interesting religious question. If God programmed them that way to not want to be around men, look, I hate to be so reductionist, is the word that the hoity-toity people with the advanced degrees use. What if women just don't like guys that much? That would be a punishment, an eternal punishment, that you were dependent upon someone you didn't like. I don't know how many times I got to keep pointing it out. You go look at the numbers. Go read Myron's book, Why Women Deserve Less. I helped them with it. We pulled some data out from my book, and we just updated and added more data. You can't read the first third of that book and come to the conclusion, yeah, girls really like men. You just can't. And so I think their base level is they generally don't like men. They don't hate men. They just don't like you that much. And it switches when it comes to like a top tier guy. Then it's 180. Then you flip the laws of physics. But when it comes to a general policy of men versus women, most women don't like most men. They could even find a guy that they find out from the love of the life. They go through the wedding over time, as evidenced by 11, 12 cases now of real life marriage. Admittedly, some of the more fantastic stories. I mean, fantastical stories. Not that they're good, but like, well, that's a sensational story. They all lose interest. They all, and well, a lot of them never had interest. It was only for the money, and some that were very apparent. I think that's their default. Look, do you guys like remove sex? Remove the tiggle bitties and the long hair and the feminine thing. Just remove the sexuality of women. Do you like hanging out with them? Do you like having deep conversations? Some women are capable of it, and I'd argue for women, if you want to find a really good man, you get good at philosophy and you have more than just I like Lizzo. I'm with Hillary. I'm Democrat. I'm just like every other girl. That makes me as common as a blade of grass. Generally speaking, like if hey, you're going to go to prison. All right. Your prison mate is going to be a guy or a girl. You can't have sex with the girls. You're just going to be who do you want as your prison mate? Give me a guy. I need someone to talk to. So your guys are they're not as interested. Yeah, I'll admit it, ladies. Men don't give it, for the most part, generally speaking, we don't give a damn about you. I mean, we're not trying to get in your way either. I mean, like, yes, please go make all the money in the world. We don't care about your day at work. We really, unless you have an interesting career in a profession or something that's self-supporting, you've gone on a journey. We don't care about what Becky said to Tina. We don't, no one cares about your liberal arts degree. No one cares about your master's degree in the social sciences. We don't care that you have a law degree. A zillion other women have that, and they're not impressive either. Unless you ended up becoming like, not principal, partner at a hoity-toity firm and you're an actual entrepreneur, but that's we don't care. We want to have sex. Yes, that's the number one thing. Yes, beauty, tiggle bitties, long hair, and feminine physique is what we want. That's the number one thing we want. If we're going to keep you around, then you darn well better have some kind of personality. But in general, right, especially younger, especially, I don't care about the gossip columns, ladies. I don't care about your drama at work. I don't care about your incredibly stupid degree that you need a bailout for, indicating how easy and worthless it must have been. I don't care what your thoughts are. If you've had life on easy mode going from hubby to no, not hubby, from daddy to hubby or to the taxpayer to the corporate affirmative act, you've never had it. I don't care. You have not had a challenge. And your thoughts are so bland and common. So if all of a sudden, like, oh yeah, I was in the military, I was deployed to Iraq. Okay, tell me more. That's an interesting human being, but your rank and file Western girl, suburbs, college, bought and paid for either through dad or the teehee bailout. I'm going to major in HR. Sorry, hate to say this. You're pretty worthless. Not that you're not bad. You're not evil. You just have no value because there's a billion of you. There's nothing interesting there. I raised 7 kids on one income with their father. All right. I'm not sexually interested, but that's interesting. We made our own food. Okay, that's interesting. I did the thing that everybody else did. So don't be surprised that guys are not interested in anything but sex. And guys, don't be surprised if girls aren't interested in you providing anything but stability. And I argue for you both is that you become interesting people and stop doing the things that everyone in society tells you to do, because if you do the things that everyone says will make you popular, you'll be common and you might as well not even be alive because your life is wasted. Demetrius Parnham, $10. Thank you very much. Liberal shithole survivalist, $2. If they hate us, why invade our spaces so much? I think they're bored. I think they need something to do. Why not? I mean, someone look at guys too. Someone who doesn't have a life, someone who doesn't have love, someone who doesn't have faith, someone who doesn't have interested people, someone who doesn't have adventure. What do? They look to others. Oh, that's cool. That's set up. Can I invade the Dungeons and Dragons group? Yeah, come on in. We're very welcoming. And then you find out like he's this autist that cries at 27 years old. True story. It's not just they want to belong to something. They want, just because like I don't need to, it doesn't mean that the programming doesn't like, oh, I want belonging to society. So they'll go find it. And I think a little bit of that is like maybe feminist indoctrination. You got to conquer that. How dare those boys over there have their fun? Go over there and invade it and make it your space too. And I don't think they hate. I think they're just bored. Never, what is it, attribute to maliciousness what stupidity would explain. Allie told me that. Allie Drummond, real femme sapien. They're just bored. They're just bored. Because once she had the kid, oh my God, there's something to do. Yeah, no kid. Love a kid. Crazy. But without that, I mean, okay, you went to the thing, you went to the school, you're in the career. I think a lot of it, though, is in the context of career. Like, I got to be number one. I'm a girl boss. I'm a bitch babe. Here's the keys to the kingdom. You go run. Look at that Kathleen Kennedy gal did the Lucasfilm. Yeah, you girls know what here's the keys. You drive that car real fast. Take chances. And then they win. They get the title. Yay. What else did they got to look? You remove men from their lives. What else do women have to do? It has to be very insular, inside looking. So I wrote the menu. It's all about you because there's no one else. It's not out of arrogance or ego or selfishness. It's like, well, if no one else is going to, come along with me on my journey through life, the only person I got is myself. And so I go through both what men and women can do. The menu, Life Without the Opposite Sex. Take a look at it if you want. It's like, well, here's what's going to give you point and purpose. So I don't know. I mean, we beat the men. They're told that we've been impressing them this entire time. Even though most of us haven't been around more than 50 years ago and haven't done a damn thing today. They gotta get back. They gotta get, look, you need something to do and live in life, right? You have to have a purpose and meaning, and taking down the patriarchy and capitalism and white males and whatever else society had built up in the past so that they can feel good about that. My life wasn't wasted. No, of course it wasn't. You worked all your life, paid taxes, commuted, and joined socialist causes to steal other people's money, and that's it. Yeah, you sure didn't waste your life. That's why you're all on antidepressants at 40 plus, is because you didn't waste you because you invested it so wisely. There's no gaping hole in your life, none. Handlebar stash, $2. All the women are looking for the Prince Biden. Prince Biden is just around the corner. He's just around the corner. Vlad Elkim, CPA, $2. I've been having some problems lately. Any advice? Yeah, don't fly out of Dallas. Or maybe you two stay for more than 48 hours at each other's place. You know, spend a little bit of time, not even together. I'm just saying, chill out down there. Pull my finger, $10. Long-time listener, first-time super chatter. Thank you for the $10. The next quart of oil that your truck needs is on me. Thank you. Thank you. And it does burn or leak oil. I think it's burning oil. Truthfully, it will go to the insurance payout that I have to pay into. I gotta pay my premiums first to get the insurance money second. See, that's how it works. See Dumbledore for $10 again. Cap, if you remember, I've worked in tech 30 years. Social media was made to monetize women's need for attention, hypergamy, and fear of missing out. We made 10 trillion in market cap, but destroyed the world. If you could write an anonymous letter detailing that, like how? Like, was it conscious? I don't know if you work for Facebook or Google or who. Was it conscious? Like, look, women need attention, so we're going to give it to them digitally, like with the likes. Like, was the concept of a like or a heart button purposely designed to get women addicted to social media? Because you pose a very interesting hypothesis or thesis. I want the argument or the proof without you identifying yourself. And please be succinct. Please be succinct. Frankenfoot, $10 again. I was planning on using CBRN training with electrical engineering. Thank you for the great answer. Good. No problem, man. We're here to help. All right. There you go. So link below. I don't know. I got my Amazon affiliate program. If you want to go buy things, what am I going to do without women? Buy whatever you want. So go do all your purchases through my Amazon affiliate program. That's linked below. Bookmark it. You want to bookmark it, and you never use the app on your phone. You be a boomer, you be an extra, and you buy all your stuff through the computer using my Amazon affiliate link. That's what you do. There's a link to my courses. I think the one linked is Achieving Financial Excellence. And what do I do without the opposite sex? Well, get your finances together. Achieving Financial Excellence, available on teachable.com. A great first start to the day. And then Subscribe Star. I got a link to my Subscribe Star. So if you want to tune into the Road Trip podcast, that's for the elite members, the hoity-toity elite members. $2 a month if you feel like pissing away $2 a month. That's I'm a great salesman for my elite club. All right, that's it. More on the way. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.